everybody, and welcome on out to another edition of the Living Deadwax podcast. I am your host, Ty, joined by my co-host, Tyler, and we are going to get into a fun topic this evening. We're going to talk about 1973. We're going to talk about our favorite releases of that year. So 50 years ago. Getting into boomer territory there.
That's true.
73. So
also, I saw a hippie video today, like a hippie chick talking about this, and I guess it was true. So, while we were born, 32 years ago, whatever, right? We actually existed in our grandmother, however many years before that. So my mom, 68 years ago, and your mom, I think like 60, sorry, Connie, 30 something years ago, whatever's your mother. And so we are actually way older, truthfully, than what our years are. Like our eggs, our existence, because women are born with all the eggs they're ever going to have right at, birth. And, so kind of interesting. We existed way before our years. So
is that really true though? Because it takes, it takes sperm to, or like it takes two things for that to take.
It does.
So
I don't know. I don't know how the makeup works, Ty. But 50% of us existed, 60 plus years ago. Okay, they just did. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't shit on this hippie chicks video. Okay.
I mean, I look pretty good for 90 then. So shit.
I mean, hey, yeah. But yeah, I just thought of that. I was like, that is pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't know. The sperm, I know that's day old. Like that was, whatever. That's nothing. Yeah. Right. So anyway, keep going.
This should be a fun one tonight, guys. If you're just joining us, thanks for joining. If you're new here, hit the sub button, like the video, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. It helps us out. We're growing towards 100 subs. Let's get there before the end of the year.
Yes.
If you're coming back, thanks for coming back. We've done 1983, 1993, 03. So doing the anniversary years, we're going to try to get these done. This will be one of the last ones. I think we're going to do 2013 before the end of the year.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap it until next year, and then we can do like 84 and 94. It should be fun too.
We can do 63, and I can just showcase a lot of the Beatles, the mono box at that point. We can do the 63 and just really, really think about it.
You can do that by yourself.
Fair. Elevated.
Truth be told, these are probably the most fun videos that we do. I love this topic, doing these anniversary topics. The way we do it, we kind of time machine it, and we go back and look at world events, obviously pop culture, music events and stuff. And then at the end, we'll break down our 5 favorite albums from the year. So I love putting this together. I love history. I love going back and seeing all the crazy shit that happens and looking at the parallels to our current times that we live in. And it's always fun. So truth be told, these are some of my favorite topics that we do. So Tyler, do you want to get in some world events of 73?
I'm curious. So we've had a running bit here, basically, with all these years. There have been military actions that have happened in these years, right? So that's always been a thing. And at this point, we're fixing to wrap up the Vietnam War. So I wonder how much you got on that in this wrap, if anything at all.
Yeah. So January 15th, citing progress in peace negotiations, Richard Nixon announces the suspension of offensive action in North Vietnam. So like Tyler alluded to, getting ready to pull out there after a rousing success. And then 5 days later, Nixon sworn in for a second term as president. I never knew this. Maybe you did. I know you're kind of a Nixon like historian, dude.
Love Nixon.
He's the only person to have been sworn in twice as president and vice president. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's the Eisenhowers. Yeah.
It's a cool little fact there. And then on the 27th of January, U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War ends. We signed the Paris Peace Accords. So there you go.
Appreciate that.
Now, this is very parallel to our times. Not commenting either way, But February 21st, Israel shoots down a Libyan Arab Airlines flight.
Yep.
And basically killed everyone. And they said they thought it was a military plane. Oops. I love that. It's just, we thought it was this. So everybody died, but no
sorry, the 300 people we just murdered. I apologize.
It was 5 people survived, 1 crew member and 4
wow.
passengers. And that was 113 people total on the flight. So that'd be 108 people died. So just
surviving a plane crash, that is next level.
Dude. Okay. 73. Now I didn't pick these out, but I was on the wiki timeline. So many plane crashes.
Yeah, there was. I didn't know the 73. I didn't know the 73, but in the 70s, I knew there's a lot of plane crashes. Yeah.
It's like you maybe hear about like 1 or 2 a year.
And it's really weird.
And it's a big deal. Yeah. Remember that plane that was lost like 2016?
Yes.
Yeah. And then did they ever find the wreckage? I don't know.
I don't remember. But remember that the plane got taken hostage and they had it on like the tarmac or not it was like in the middle of the desert and they had it there for like a while and they wouldn't release it. It was like pirates or whatever.
What year is that?
Like I'm seeing video right now, early 2010s.
Okay.
Maybe late 2000s. Sorry, got nothing for you more. Just seeing a video roll in my head right now. But also DB Cooper 70s, not 73, but not DB Cooper. But yeah, DB Cooper also another thing. Yeah, planes were hopping in the 70s for sure, unfortunately.
Yeah. It was insane how many plane crashes there was. It's like every month there was a different plane crash that was big enough to necessitate its own wiki.
Yeah.
April 3rd, first handheld mobile phone call is made by Martin Cooper of Motorola.
Knew that. I knew Motorola was the first guy.
Crazy. I did not know that.
No.
April 5th, we launched the Pioneer G11 spacecraft into orbit there. It's meant to map like the solar system.
Okay, sick.
And then let's see here. April 6th, Ron Blomberg becomes the first designated hitter in Major League Baseball.
ASU.
Wow.
Oh.
That's a good pull.
Yeah.
Is that from a baseball card?
Yeah, exactly. Because let me just verify this. I'm almost positive, I'm sure here, because I've been saying this in my brain for I don't know, the last whatever it's been. So Ron Blomberg, let's see. He minor league, high school. He has a connection here. There's some kind of connection. I know that for sure. I don't know what it is, but I read on the back of the baseball card because I bought when I was a wee little child. I bought baseball cards, and they had like a throwback, like a throwback card in there or whatever. Probably, I mean, they have it now, like a lot of different sets or whatever. But I remember in there, they talked about how Ron Blomberg was. There's a connection there. I can't find it right now. I'm not lying to you. I can't
Just
find
look up his
it.
college.
I did. Well, here's the thing. It didn't pop up like that. So I think I'm wrong, but I don't want to admit that I'm wrong here. Ron Blomberg is. I knew. So here's the thing. If somebody asked me that, I knew that he was the first DH. I knew that. So, he selected first overall in the 1967 amateur draft. He attended DeKalb Junior College part-time, and then he later majored in psychology at Farley Dickinson University. So I'm not seeing any of this. Maybe he played minor league baseball here. I'm not sure. Oh, hold on. Nope, lied to you. All right, keep going. Ron Blomberg. Good. Also, I hate the DH. The DH is the worst. So
now it's mandatory. Mandatory DH.
Now it's mandatory. Yeah.
Anyway, April 10th, some more relevant things that happening currently. Operation Spring of Youth. It's a great name, by the way. Israeli commandos raid Beirut.
A lot of Israel was active.
I mean, they've been popping off for fucking obviously
good while
time, but Yeah, they assassinated 3 leaders of the Palestinian resistance movement. And yeah, Operation Spring
Yikes.
of Youth. I love the names that they come up with.
It's a wild.
Operation Enduring Freedom. May 3rd, the Sears Tower in Chicago is topped out, becomes the world's tallest building. And then I think it was surpassed by the World Trade Center, right? And then after 9/11, I think wasn't there one in like Abu Dhabi or?
Well, there's still one now, I think, right? Or
but I think the Freedom Tower, but obviously the World Trade Center didn't exist anymore after 9/11. So I think they built one in Abu Dhabi that was like the tallest building in the world, like taller than the Sears Tower. And then I think the Freedom Tower is now the tallest one again.
All right, so here we are. The Burj Khalifa is in Dubai. That is 2,717 feet. And then we have in Malaysia is the Merdeka 118. That is 2,227. Then Shanghai Tower, and then some Saudi Arabia. Tower? So Freedom Tower, is that just called One World Trade? Yeah. So One World Trade, that is currently 7th on the list at 1,776 feet.
I like that.
USA. I like that a lot. Yeah, USA. So we're 7th right now. That is the tallest building in the United States, though.
I thought it was in the world. That sucks. I was misled. Okay.
All right. Listen, I didn't know about Ron Blumberg, so we're both messing up this episode. So there you go.
May 14th, Skylab, US's first space station, is launched. Yeah. May 25th, Skylab 2. We sent it up to repair Skylab 1.
Yeah. Then we later let it fall. We later let it fall to Earth, and it fell off the coast of Australia, I believe it was. So whatever. Yeah.
June 30th, a very long total solar eclipse occurs. During the entire second millennium, only 7 total solar eclipses exceeded 7 minutes. And that was one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
July 16th, Watergate pops off. July 21st, some more fun stuff. Lilyhammer Affair, Agents of Mossad. You know what this is?
No, nothing at all for you. No, keep going.
So Agents of Mossad, the Israeli secret intelligence agency, shoot and kill a Moroccan waiter in Lillehammer, Norway. Mistakenly believing him to be a senior member of the Palestinian Black September organization. So these are 2 major mistakes we made. Yeah. Oops.
Look, can we pack it in for the year? No more doing things. Okay, we don't know. We might have some bad intelligence.
July 25th, Soviet launched Mars 5 space probe.
Interesting.
So they're trying always playing catch up. Yeah. July 28th, Skylab 3 is launched to conduct various medical and scientific experiments aboard Skylab. That sounds cool.
Not gonna lie to you, I did not know there was a 3rd Skylab, but
no, there's more. We'll keep going.
Okay. Ooh,
August 15th, the U.S. bombing of Cambodia finally ends. So there you go. Nice. I finally stopped doing that. So
shout out.
As we've talked about every 10 years we've done this, we've always been doing something. I think the Israelis beat us this year, but at least according to Wiki.
Listen, hold up. So ideally, we were trying to wrap up the Vietnam conflict. So we're trying to wrap that up. Or I guess that was a war. Korea was a conflict, but we wrapped that up. And so at this point, Israel is we're up here. They're up here right now. For this year. I'm sure next year will be different.
When we do 74, we'll bring it back. August 23rd. I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this. The Normam Storg robbery occurs. That's famous for the origin of the term Stockholm syndrome, because that was in Stockholm, Sweden.
Okay.
That's where that robbery coined the term.
Interesting. What else you got on
that? I guess I didn't dive deep into it. But I guess that's where what I'm assuming is these people robbed
Hostage.
this bank or whatever it was, and they had this hostage, and then the hostages started sympathizing with the people. So that's where that term came from. I never knew that. I've always just known that term.
Yeah.
October 17th, OPEC oil embargo against several countries supporting Israel triggers the 1973 energy crisis. So we might be getting right there again.
Energy crises are never fun. Every time they click up on there, that's a thing. I remember all the I Love the 70s episodes at the top of the energy crisis. So it was not good.
Yeah.
And then you have people talk about your parents ever talk to you about like well, your parents neither were driving at the time, right? I don't think. 73.
No.
So my parents were driving and they talked about how
they remember the lines though.
That's fair.
My
enough.
Parents remember the lines and shit.
Yeah. But they were talking about when they were driving, when they were getting gas, you could only get gas like the numbers on your plate dictated whether you can get gas all that day. It was odds and evens. So like, that's how they like decided how it all worked, which seems wild to me because at the time, if you really wanted to do it, if you have multiple vehicles in a family and you have an odd and even, just take that plate off there. We're not running plates. Like we're taking it Scouts honor, the honor system here. So you could have gotten gas every day if you really wanted to.
No, yeah, very true. October 20th, Saturday Night Massacre. So that's Nixon firing people.
Everybody.
Yeah. I mean, hence the name, Saturday Night Massacre. Also, same day, Sydney Opera House opened.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Did not know that.
October 20th, 73. Yep.
Nice.
Let's see. One of the flights made it in there. There was a crash November 3rd, Pan Am cargo flight. So there you go. Mariner program. NASA launches Mariner 10 towards Mercury. It becomes the first space probe to reach that planet.
Okay.
So very cool.
Nice.
November 11th, Egypt and Israel sign a United States-sponsored ceasefire.
Okay, sick.
November 16th, Skylab 4 is launched on an 84-day mission. Okay. November 27th, the United States Senate votes 92-3 to confirm Gerald Ford. Kept that in there because I'm like, that's a good split. That would never happen today.
No.
Nobody would vote 92-3 to anything. Unless the Senate is that lopsided, which would probably never happen again. That's a crazy vote. I mean, I understand No, go ahead.
No, I've never looked at that, but I'm really wondering, like, were they non-votes or were they no votes?
That's a good question. I didn't check. I'd be curious to see if three people actually voted no. Like you're the random three people. I just thought it was crazy because of that. You very rarely ever see that disparity of votes anymore. Alrighty. December 3rd, Pioneer program. Pioneer 10 sends back the first close-up images of Jupiter. So we have a lot of space throughout the year.
Well, that was the last gasp of the money too.
Yeah.
Then the money started drying up. Yeah.
December 6th kept us in here because of the votes. Yeah, the House of Representatives votes 387-35 to confirm Gerald Ford as vice president.
Yeah.
He is sworn in the same day. So those are the big happenings of the world.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that. So he was speaker and he ascended because Spiro Agnew was separately. No. So I don't know how much you know about Spiro, but so Spiro Agnew was also completely separately corrupt from Nixon. They had nothing. He had nothing to do with the Watergate. So Spiro Agnew, he got in trouble because in Baltimore, he was, I believe, the governor of Baltimore or a high-ranking official in Baltimore. But he would take bribes from openly take bribes from businesses, and he assigned contracts to those businesses. So literally, like, legitimately, people would drop by his office with a bag of cash or like envelopes and stuff and just drop it in his office and leave with nothing. And so people started catching on, and like there was an investigation that was going on as he was getting confirmed into being vice president. And they eventually, because it was really odd, like when he was actually we're getting sidetracked here, but when he was getting investigated by the DOJ, they came to him and they were like, hey man, like things were about to get sticky. because obviously we're getting in uncharted territory, and so we're like, are we gonna have to arrest you like in the White House? Like, is that what we're going to have to do here? And so he resigned, and Nixon didn't cover him, and so he hated Nixon for the rest of his life, and he blamed him for not not pardoning him or whatever, right? And so like it was a big deal. But yeah, Spiro Agnew completely separately had nothing to do with Nixon corruption.
So he was never charged for a crime, though. So there's nothing to right. So there's nothing to pardon.
So no,
the DOJ took his resignation and it's like, okay, we're not going to charge you that.
So
just like
Nixon. I believe that Spiro did go to jail. I believe he did. Let's see.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me just get my facts here. Investigated by the DOJ. Yep. Baltimore kickbacks. After months of maintaining his innocence, Agnew pleaded no contest to a single felony charge of tax evasion and resigned from office. Nixon replaced him with House Republican leader Gerald Ford. Agnew spent the remainder of his life quietly, rarely making public appearances. He wrote a novel and a memoir, both of which defended his actions. Agnew died at his home in 96 at age 77 of undiagnosed acute leukemia. So no prison time for him. But yeah, so there you go. So
nice.
One of your guys.
That's what does that mean?
Maryland. One of your Maryland boys.
First of all, I barely claim Maryland. Second of all, we don't claim him. Okay.
Okay, keep going.
Anyways, that's the long story about how Gerald Ford became president.
Yes. By the way, for anybody watching this, because you will run into this trivia question about, I don't know, 100 times in your life if you play trivia at all. Who's the only president to never be voted in or voted by the people? And the answer is Gerald Ford every time. So you will run into that question in every trivia game.
Well, also Lincoln's vice president, and then also Lyndon Johnson.
No, they were voted in. So basically,
Lyndon had 2 terms.
LBJ ran for a second term, yeah.
And he won?
Yeah. He was president from 64 to 68. And then Nixon. No, then
64 to 68 is one, that's one term.
No, but he finished up Kennedy's term.
Oh, yeah, because it's 63.
Yeah. So everybody else that took over was
even Lincoln's vice president?
I believe so. Hold on now. Well, yeah, because Andrew Johnson hold on. Let's see here. Now, listen, guys, don't turn away. We're all learning together, okay? We're all learning together. Abraham Lincoln. So hold on. Yeah, Johnson. Johnson was the president, so he assumed presidency. Yeah, and then he was later voted in. Yes.
Andrew Johnson.
So, Andrew Johnson, correct him because that's the other thing. Because that was another thing. The Lincoln Kennedy connection is
Lyndon
the vice president.
Yeah,
there you go.
Ooh, I like
that.
Yeah,
and they were both killed in the Ford Theater and Ford Lincoln.
added to the conspiracy.
Correct, Mundo.
Let's do sports. Super Bowl. Can you guess?
The Colts.
No, wow. This is a famous team. Very famous team.
Oh, is the Dolphins?
There you go.
Oh my God, I hate the Dolphins.
The Miami Dolphins beat the Washington Redskins 14-7. They completed the only perfect season in the history of the NFL. Still stands today.
I still hate them because not recently, I guess, but every year a team for the longest time would go like 9-0, 10-0, 12-0, and then they'd talk to him and they'd interview the guy that they always talk to.
Well, 2020, the Steelers went 11-0. They were talking about that. So, yeah. I mean, right now the Eagles are undefeated and the Niners are. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Location was the LA Memorial Coliseum. 90,000 in attendance. So
hell yeah.
For Super Bowl 7. OJ Simpson became the first player in NFL history to rush for more than 2,000 yards.
There you go.
That's a 14-game season too. That's crazy, dude. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
we got 17 games now, and guys look at like 1,500 yards, and that's a good season.
Is it like $170? Like $170 or $160 a game?
I don't know what his yards were. He was over 2,000. So do 2,000 divided by 14.
Yeah, I don't know those numbers.
Oh, yeah. World Series. Can you get to that one?
73. Is that bigger machine?
Similar.
Not bigger. Okay. Similar to the bigger machine.
Dynasty.
Okay, interesting. Is that Yankee still? A dynasty. 73 dynasty.
Yeah, they won multiple World Series in
A's.
the 70s.
Oh, the A's. Yeah, that was the A's. Okay, I don't know why I didn't know that. Yeah.
They beat the New York Mets in 7 games, 4 games to 3.
There you go.
January 18th, Orlando Cepeda signed with the Boston Red Sox. He was the first player signed to a team specifically to be a DH.
Wow.
So there you go.
Old man getting paid.
NBA Finals. Can you guess that one?
No, the Celtics.
The Knicks won 4 games to 1 over the Lakers.
Sure.
January 22nd, George Foreman beat Joe Frazier by knockout in 2 rounds.
Nice.
It was HBO Boxing's first telecast. I thought that was cool.
That's awesome. I never failed just because it's one of my favorite jokes ever. My father told me this joke when I was 8, and he subsequently told me it every year, probably until he died. The prior joke about Foreman. It's George Foreman has an interesting boxing style. None. He gets in the ring and he goes, "Which was a referee? Because I'm gonna kill the other motherfucker." My father would tell me that joke every year. He had prior bits memorized. That guy, listen, my father, while not great in a lot of ways, my dad memorized Richard Pryor bits perfectly with the timing and everything, all of it. He had every record and he memorized them all. Went and saw the guy. Yeah. They were only white. We were the only white people there. That was always what he said. So that was this funny thing. My father would stand in my doorway as a teenager doing Pryor bits for about an hour. Then he'd ask me for $20.
Saul Pryor, where at?
Here, I guess. I don't know. I'm
Gamage
Coliseum. Oh, maybe Gamage. That's true. I don't. Yeah, maybe the Coliseum. That's too big. Maybe Gamage. Yeah, I don't know. It's like 70.
I don't know. Pryor could probably sell at the Coliseum.
That's true. It had to been because it was my mom. So it had been like 77, 78, something like that.
Okay.
Crazy.
That's cool. Stanley Cup. Can you do that one?
The Blackhawks. The Canadians.
Close. Canadians beat the Blackhawks 4 games to 2.
Nice.
Got both teams.
I just know they both got a bunch. So I'm just going to do the math there.
All right. Let's get to everybody's favorite sport, NASCAR. I forgot to do this during the other decades, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
So
73.
73 Daytona 500. Can you give me the winner?
Richard
Petty did win. Buddy Baker won the pole. He led the most laps, 156. Cale Yarborough was also in second. Petty basically did a last few laps kind of deal. Stole it.
Yeah. And then Richard won the title, I think, that year probably too, right?
That was Petty's 4th Daytona 500 win. Petty was not the Winston Cup champion. Can you name the Winston Cup champion?
So David Pearson?
No.
Not David Pearson. 73. Cale ripped off 3 in a row. I don't think Cale, I think that was later. I think like 76, 77, 78. Is it Cale?
No.
Okay. 73. Hold on. I'm searching the database here. Hall of Famer. They're all Hall of Famers, but Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Oh man. Daryl. That wasn't Daryl. Daryl came in the late 70s. Who was it?
Benny Parsons.
Benny Parsons. That's the 1 year. Benny Parsons. He's the shittiest champion. Benny won no races that year. He's the shittiest champion.
So yeah, he finished 67 points ahead of Cale. David Pearson, you guessed, won 11 of the 18 races he entered.
Yeah. Also, the funny thing about David Pearson, so hold on. let me just verify this real quick.
So also, Lenny Pond was named NASCAR Rookie of the Year. He succeeded Larry Smith. Larry Smith died that year in the Talladega 500.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he was rookie of the year. Larry Smith was rookie year in 72, and then he died in the next year at Talladega. He died. I was reading the wiki. He died before he got to the infield care center.
He was burned up, fire.
No. The inner lining of his helmet like screwed up, and it was a wreck by himself. There was nobody else involved in the wreck. And then like 3 years later, it came out he had like soft parts of his skull.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got hit the right way. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. So okay, Benny, my correction. Sorry, Benny. I didn't mean to shit talk your name here. He won one race that year. So the stat is he won one race that year, and David Pearson, he won 11 races that year. Okay,
I said
The thing about
he entered,
he
entered 18 and won 11.
Correct. So that's the thing. And Parsons just was obviously very consistent in that. So sorry, Benny. Didn't mean to shit talk you. I just knew that you were the shittiest champion. So apologize. But yeah, Benny Parsons, or not Benny Parsons, David Pearson, he never, I think he finished like 2 seasons ever. Where he entered every event because he just raced when he wanted to. And him and the Wood brothers just won everything. He's at 105 wins. So F&A.
Yeah, 10 of his wins that year were on super speedways. That set the record until Bill Elliott broke it in 1985.
Oh yeah.
So there's your sports, and let's do a little bit of movies, then we'll do music and get into what we came here for.
Meat and potatoes.
Yeah. So let's take a look here. Your Oscars that year.
Oh, nothing.
You got a guess? No.
If you give me a movie, I guess I could go off that. Maybe, possibly.
Best Picture is one of the biggest films ever.
73. Godfather.
You're correct. Yeah, Godfather won Best Picture. Best Director Bob Fosse for Cabaret. Best Actor Marlon Brando for Godfather for Vito Corleone. He declined the award, which we'll get into. This is pretty funny, actually. Liza Minnelli won Best Actress for Cabaret. So those are your big awards. The controversy with Marlon Brando. So he had. Do you know this?
I do know this. Yeah.
Okay. So he had Shaseen Littlefeather accept the award for him or decline or whatever. Read his speech. She was an American actress, model, and Native American activist. The only problem was she's not Native American. So,
I didn't know that actually. I knew the gimmick. Yeah. I didn't know she wasn't Native. Okay, wow.
She's not Native American. Said her family was of Mexican ancestry with no tribal ties. That was funny.
Okay. Do you know do you know? So beyond that, do you know what happened at the Oscars? I don't know if you read that.
I do not know. I just read the controversy. I don't know. Go ahead.
So basically the gist of it, if I can remember correctly, is he was protesting the treatment of natives on sets of movies, and he didn't, and so they didn't like the disrespect that was happening to cowboys and Indians type stuff, whatever, right? And he didn't like that treatment of the stereotypes, or whatever, being savages or whatever. So she went up there and accepted the award, and Clint Eastwood, I believe, either like brought her or presented the award or whatever. But I think he later made a statement, and he said that something along the lines of like, because he's killed a lot of Indians, obviously, on TV and movies and stuff, whatever. And he said something along those lines. I forget, and it was like controversial at the time. I think he just failed to understand what they were trying to talk about. I guess, I don't know. But I didn't know she wasn't Native. I literally never thought I ever heard that part of the story. Interesting. All right. So.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I respect it, but it probably helps if you actually get a Native American.
That's very, that would help. That would help your cause a lot, if it's fully genuine. But here we are.
And then last a little bit about films. Can you name the number one grossing film?
Of 73?
50th anniversary this year. Very big film.
Not The Godfather, I guess, because it's 72.
Not the Godfather. Just came out. Sequel just came out, or reboot, whatever.
Exorcist.
Yeah.
Wow.
$88.5 million in 73. The Sting was number 2. Nice. American Graffiti, one of my all-time favorites, number 3. Papillon was number 4. The Way We Were, number 5. Magnum Force, number 6. It's a Clint. Number 7, Last Tango in Paris. That's a Brando movie. Number
That's what
8.
He was shooting. That's what he was shooting instead of going to the Oscars.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Number 8, Paper Moon. Number 9, Live and Let Die. Mr. Bond. And number 10, The Devil and Miss Jones. So, little adult film. Cracked 15 million. Was in the top 10 for 73.
Wow.
There you go.
All right, shouts out to the adult industry making an impact. They're a top 10 list. That is wild, Di. Can you imagine that today? Obviously, the dumb money is way different, but that it's just the equivalent. That is like, so the Avengers makes $1 billion or whatever Marvel thing, like Spider-Man, and then you have 150 or whatever, 300, 400 million, probably more than that at a porno theater. Jeez McCrees, my friend.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a little interesting. Worldwide gross, Exorcist did 441 million.
Oh, wow.
Crazy how big that film was. But Enter the Dragon did $400 million worldwide.
So China was on board at that point. I didn't know they were, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So
okay.
That was one of the biggest films worldwide of that year. Enter the Dragon.
Which we later learned Enter the Dragon is available in the most is believed to be available in the most video formats.
Yes.
So way to learn that.
There you go. There you go. All right, last little bit here before we actually get into music. We had some celebrity bursts. This is always fun. Oscar De La Hoya, Larry Page. These people are all turning 50 if they're still alive.
Larry Page, the Oracle billionaire. Right? Google. Okay.
Or whatever. Adrian Brody. Heidi Klum turning 50.
Shouts out.
Kevin Feige, speaking of Marvel. NPH, Neil Patrick Harris, Doogie Howser himself, 50 years old this year.
Wow.
Carson Daly.
Shout out.
50 years old. Monica Lewinsky. So there you go.
One of the good
50. Ones. Kate Beckinsale, 50 years old. Dave Chappelle turning 50.
All right.
Rose McGowan, 50.
Wow.
Shannon Elizabeth, 50. A lot of heavy hitters here.
So that means Shannon Elizabeth. So that means in 99, she was
American Pie.
20. I guess it's 27. So much older than what a high school person would ever be, which I guess that's movies and whatever, right? But that's wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would hope she wasn't 16 or something in that movie, considering what happens.
Yeah.
Paul Walker would have turned 50.
Rip.
Nev Campbell, one of yours, 50 years old.
Love me some Nev Campbell.
A few days ago, October 3rd. October 4th, Christopher Parks, Abyss. TNA legend, was on the wiki, turning 50.
Nice. Good for him. Good for him, man. Wow. That's incredible.
Seth MacFarlane.
Okay.
Also on the wiki, one Montel Vontavious Porter, Mr. MVP from the U.S. champ.
That's amazing.
One Mr. Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge.
Wow. Okay. Hall of Famers.
50 on October 30th. And then his tag team partner, November 30th, Christian, turning 50 this year.
E and C, both. That's pretty crazy. I actually did not know that.
Yeah, born a month apart to the day.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Brothers.
Tyra Banks.
Mom did it.
Tyra Banks turning 50.
Yeah.
And then Terrell Owens turning 50 this year.
And
NFL
still
Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Still thinking making that comeback. So
turning 50,
you know,
so better late than never. Had some deaths. Graham Parsons.
Yep.
26 from a drug overdose.
Later. Oh, do you remember Graham Parsons, the shocking moments thing where his friends took him out to they stole his body, took him out to the desert and burned it up, or tried to?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, because I guess supposedly in a drunken high, stupor or whatever, he told his friends that if he was to die, he wanted to be brought out to the desert in Joshua Tree and burned. And so his friend, once he died, stole his body from the funeral home and took him out of the desert and tried to burn him. And I don't know, somewhat succeeded.
All right.
Yeah.
Jim Croce, plane crash,
RIP.
30 years old. Awful.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, also his songwriter, Maury Moleisen. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's 24, died in the same crash.
I did not know that. Wow. I knew he died, obviously. That's crazy.
Yeah. Zeke Zettner from the Stooges, 25 of a heroin overdose. Awful. Yeah. Lyndon Johnson, speaking of the devil, 73.
Some would actually say that as well, by the way. So,
Yeah, some would. Didn't survive that long after he got out of office. I didn't know that.
No. He's one of the worst with the looks and stuff. He really was.
He's old. Yeah, he's old as shit at the beginning. So
totally. But just those years that was that's one of the worst, the presidents before and after thing is Johnson.
Pablo Picasso, dude lived forever.
Yeah.
Born in 1881. He's almost 100 years old. He was 91.
Yeah.
The patriarch of the funk wrestling family, Dory Funk
Sr.
Yeah, died in 73.
Wow.
The patriarch of the Wilsons, Maury Wilson, Beach Boys, died in 73.
Big piece of shit, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's probably not great. He
used to beat him and stuff. That's why Brian's deaf in a year, and he sold the songs and stuff out from under him.
Yeah. He's dead now, so it all works out.
Yeah.
Betty Grable, 73, died of lung
that?
cancer. A big time actress, American singer, pinup girl. You've seen her.
Interesting. Okay.
Bruce Lee, 73, died at 32.
Curse.
Yeah. Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, died in 73.
Okay.
Died of an ulcer at 81.
Scary.
So there's your big time deaths. And then let's get into music. So some music bursts.
Okay.
Chris Fiend from Slipknot. You remember that guy? Left the band, sued him. He was number 3.
Oh yeah, that was new. That's last 3 years or so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of my guys, Anders and Jonas from At the Gates. They were born in 73. Peter Lindgren from Opeth, born in 73. Dan Swano, legendary Swedish metal musician and producer, born in 73. It's funny, all these guys are the same age. All those guys are from the same country, same age.
That's crazy.
David Draymond from Disturbed, 73, turning 50 this year.
Device.
Yeah, very true. Anders from In Flames, also a Swedish band, turning 50 this year.
Jeez.
Charlie D'Angelo from Arch Enemy and Night Flight Orchestra, we talked about on the channel before. Also Swedish, born in 73.
Sweden, man. That's the year. Wow.
Yeah, basically that entire scene was created that year. It's crazy for the most part. Nice. Josh Homme, turning 50 this year.
Nice.
Chino from the Deftones.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Frost, Norwegian drummer from black metal band Satyricon, 1349. Danny Filth from Cradle of Filth.
There you go.
Turning 50. Scott Stapp from Creed, I believe 50 this year.
All right.
Mick Thompson from Slipknot, 50.
Wow. Okay.
Corey Taylor also turning 50. So basically the entirety of Slipknot.
Wow.
50.
Side note, just to bring this up. So I recently learned that I don't want to say, I guess, names or whatever, Gabe. Remember Gabe from high school, Slipknot?
Yeah.
Yeah. He has pieces for Paul Gray and he has, because he's a drummer, so Joey, he has a huge Joey tattoo and a Paul Gray tattoo, like the numbers and stuff all on his body, obviously, and they look really sick. They're really cool. So I hope it's a while before he has to get more of them, because he's got to get 9 tattooed on his body at some point. So,
yeah, I guess if you want to keep it going, yeah, geez,
yeah.
February 11th, everybody's favorite Norwegian black metalist, Varg Vikernes.
Oh yeah,
turning 50 this year. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of my actual favorites, Abath, former lead singer, lead guitarist from Immortal, turning 50. So a lot of Norway and Sweden, like those scenes popping off. So
that's
interesting. So those are some of your big musical bursts. Let's get into some happenings, and then we'll get into some records. Okay. Kiss performed their first ever concert in Queens, 73.
Wow. Okay.
Midnight Special made its debut in 73.
Nice.
A bunch of bands played the Midnight Special.
Yeah.
February 14th, David Bowie collapsed after his Madison Square Garden show.
Coked
he was
up.
Fine. I guess he worked it out.
Worked it out.
February 18th, King Biscuit Flower Hour is aired for the first time. Can you name one of the artists?
I don't know what that is, brother. What is that?
You never heard of the King Biscuit Flower Hour? It was a music.
No.
Kind of like Midnight Special.
Okay, was it for weirdos?
No, these are all big bands.
Okay. I don't know. The Grateful Dead.
No. You want to just give them to you?
Sure.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yep.
The Mahu Vishnu Orchestra.
Okay.
And a new artist, Bruce Springsteen, played the first ever.
Wow. Might hear about him later. Okay.
Giving you trivia you didn't even know.
Didn't even know it. Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Led Zeppelin embarks on a tour of the U.S., during which they set the record for highest attendance for a concert, 56,800 in Tampa. The record previously held by the Beatles. Performances for the movie The Song Remains the Same are also filmed during that tour.
That's incredible.
Pretty cool. Uli Roth played his first gig with the Scorpions. He was replacing Michael Schenker, who had went to UFO.
Oh, wow.
June 30th, Ian Gillan quits Deep Purple for the first time. So he was basically out. Like, that's like 4 years, and he pieced out. David Bowie retires. The stage presented Ziggy Stardust on July 3rd in front of a shocked audience at the Hammersmith Odeon in London. August 6th, Stevie Wonder, seriously injured in a car accident, was in a 4-day coma. Never knew that.
Yeah.
September 23rd, the Roxy Theater opens in Hollywood, California. October 17th, never thought about this. 1973 oil crisis begins, causing shortages of the vinyl needed to manufacture records. A number of new albums are either delayed or only available to limited quantities until after the holiday season.
Yeah, that's so that's why we got the Superflex records. That's
okay.
That's why we got those. Also, Japan wasn't necessarily affected by that a lot, because a lot of the Japanese records were still like top tier, and they still were I don't know, whatever, 160 gram, whatever it was. So the Japanese records became more sought after in that. I don't know if they were more sought after, but for certain folk, because those records were still pressed at the higher grams, higher weight.
Very cool. Yeah. November 1st, Kiss became the first act signed to Casablanca Records.
Nice.
Malcolm and Angus performed under the name AC/DC for the first time for their New Year's Eve party in a Sydney nightclub, Checkers. The second annual New Year's Rockin' Eve airs on NBC. Only the second. Crazy. Tower of Power, Billy Preston, and the Pointer Sisters perform.
Wow. Stacked.
So there's your big music happenings here. Let's do some top 10 stuff, some Grammy stuff. So, record of the year, Roberta Flack. The first time I ever saw your face.
Okay.
Had to listen to the song and never heard the song before.
Okay.
Album of the year, The Concert for Bangladesh.
Nice. George Harrison, shout out.
Song of the year, Roberta Flack. First time I ever saw your face.
Okay.
Best new artist, America.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw a picture actually like 2 days ago. I saw a picture because George Martin produced, I guess, a lot of those America records, and so like he's a Beatles producer. So I don't know if you know, if you, I don't know if off the top of your head what George Martin looks like, but he looks like, and I've always
No.
seen him with the Beatles, so he looks like your grandfather. Like he just like this white guy with the combed over hair. He looks like an old English guy, whatever, right? But in the 70s, when he's working with America, he grew his hair out and he looks like a crazy person. So
cool.
like it's just long and it's really weird. It's like a Michael's Bob almost, the picture I saw. And I never obviously he made other records, whatever, but my brain just froze George Martin in the Beatles era. And then later he looked exactly like the same Beatles guy when they interviewed him about the Beatles later on and all those other videos and interviews in the 90s and the 80s and stuff.
He cleaned
he looks the
himself
same
up.
guy. Exactly. So like that whole middle period in the 70s and whatever never happened in my mind, but I guess that did happen. So there you go.
That's funny. Here's your top 10 Billboard songs for the year. Number 1, Tony Orlando and Dawn. Tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. I listened to the song. It's a pretty good song. I didn't hate it.
Okay. All right. So
Jim Croce. Number 2, Bad Bad Leroy Brown.
Shout out
number
Leroy
3,
Brown.
There you go. Number 3, Roberta Flack. Killing Me Softly with his song.
Okay.
Number 4, Marvin Gaye. Let's Get It On. Number 5, Paul McCartney and Wings, My Love. Number 6, Chris Christopherson, Why Me? Number 7, Elton John, Crocodile Rock. Number 8, Billy Preston, Will It Go Round in Circles? Number 9, Carly Simon, You're So Vain. Number 10, Diana Ross, Touch Me in the Morning. And the last thing here, we'll get into top 10 Billboard 200 albums for the year end 1973. This is an interesting list, considering some of the albums that were released in 1973.
Okay.
But
okay, hold on, real quick. Looking it over, do you think, do we have records on this list?
No, I don't think either. We don't. Most of these are released in 72.
Okay, fair.
So it wouldn't make sense. Only one of them was released in 73. So yeah, when you think of 73, obviously you think of Floyd, Zeppelin. These are, Dark Side, one of the best selling records of all time. Houses of Holy is like whatever, 15 times platinum, whatever the fuck it is. So I was expecting that going in here. I was like, oh, okay, this is actually interesting. The number 1 selling record for 73 was Wars, The World is a Ghetto. Number 1 selling record for 73. Number 2, Seals and Croft with Summer Breeze. Number 3, Stevie Wonder with Talking Book. Number 4, Carly Simon, No Secrets. And number 5, Diana Ross, Lady Sings the Blues soundtrack. Number 6, Edgar Winter, They Only Come Out at Night. Number 7, Helen Reddy, I Am Woman. Number 8, the only record from 73, Elton John, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player.
Yep.
Number 9, Al Green, I'm Still in Love with You. And number 10, Moody Blues, Seventh Sojourn.
That's a list, brother. That is a like R&B and soul and some little bit of pop in there. That's pretty crazy. So shout out to all those people. Roberta Flack had a great year, it sounds like.
Yeah, Grammys, selling a lot of records, living it up.
All
right, let's get into the main event. So how'd you feel about 73?
73 had a lot of records, man. It did have a lot of records. It had a lot of records that I ancillarily like. I didn't feel confident enough to put them on the list, but like a lot of bands came out with stuff. It was a big year for a lot of music. But like the big one that I didn't put on my list here, like I'm not doing honorables or whatever. Like that's when Raw Power came out. So Iggy and the Stooges. Yeah. So like I've listened to that record a good handful of times. I actually re-listened to it this afternoon. It's very like it's real weird, and like I understand like why like it's like the proto punk record. I get that, right? But there's a lot of different sounds in there. There's some quiet like little acoustic stuff on there for a little bit. Like it's like Seek and Destroy obviously is the big deal on there. Just it's a cool record. So I'm not cool enough. I am not cool enough to be a big Stooges guy. I'm not, okay, admittingly so. But if I become cool later on in life, I will buy some Stooges stuff for sure.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of different music, a lot of very important records. I'm not gonna lie, this is the hardest one I've done so far of the decades.
Yeah.
I had 2 that were in, and like I gotta fill 3 out. Luckily, I had a lot of driving to do today, and these records are short, so I got to do a lot of listening. I had 2.5 hours of driving to do.
Oh wow,
and back and forth. And so I got to listen to like 4 records in that time because they're all like 35 minutes long.
Yeah.
So that helped to refresh some memories and stuff like that. And ultimately, I think I came up with a pretty good list. I'm going to put it out here right now. Dark Side's not on my list. I don't know if Dark Side is on yours. It is?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to talk about Dark Side just because, like, what else are you going to say about it? So,
yeah.
I actually am surprised that it is on your list because you got 2 records by one guy and 2 records by another guy that I thought.
Yeah, but I'm not putting. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Like exactly what you're talking about. The second record by the guy you're talking about, it's a covers record that I own. I actually own it, but I've listened to that record, the Pinups record. I've listened to that like I don't know a handful of times in my life.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
Let's feel it out. We'll talk about it at the end.
Okay.
Talking about it at the end.
All right. I'm assuming here, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I did 5. I know I did just 5 exactly. I'll talk about maybe some honorables or stuff we didn't cover at the end. Yeah. So if you want to kick us off with your number 1 or your first choice, whatever you want.
I got an honorable. I did an honorable real quick. I'll do it. It's a cool thing.
All right.
So something that came out in 73 is a record by one of my favorite dudes, Mr. Neil Young. Tide Fades Away. It's a live record that Neil cut of all new material. And the story behind this record is actually really interesting. So it's on the Harvest Tours when he recorded this in 73. So Neil became really unhappy with this record for various reasons. His band members were either junkies that couldn't handle it anymore. The drummer asked for $100,000 salary. And he paid it to him, which per Wikipedia, I looked at this, is over $700,000 today. He wanted that as his guaranteed salary.
Wow.
And Neil was drinking so much. He got an ulcer on this tour, I believe, as well. And it just didn't really work out too well for him. It was the most successful tour he ever had. So it's all new material. And they only did the initial print run for this, for however long they did it, for, I don't know, the year, I don't know. But they never repressed or re-released it until 2017. He put it in the box set and he put the CD out there. So I believe he's repressed this now on vinyl, so you can buy this again. But for the longest time, a lot of this was bootlegged. It's one of the most bootlegged records of all time because he never put it out there again because he hates it so much. And he's still, to this day, like circa, I mean, obviously he's done it now, he's put it out there again, but circa like 10 years ago was still like saying that's the worst thing I ever did, like, whatever. But it's a very heralded record in Neil's, discography. It's not my favorite or anything like that, but like it's got shit on here that's like really important. So Journey Through Time is the or Journey to the Past is the big song on this record. But it's really cool. Something that's cool, this is my dad's copy actually, is that it included a poster in it that my father obviously never put up or anything. But it's just all the lyrics. I'm not going to pull it out, but it's all the lyrics and it's just a massive poster. So super cool. So more things that go into this. So very special, like I said, very, very big deal for a lot of Neil fans. So connections there. So Neil talked about for years that there is a Time Fades Away 2. And so people were very, very jazzed about that. And then I believe 2 years ago, is this 22 or 21? 2019, lied to you. 2019, they released the fabled Tuscaloosa set with the Stray Gators, and he said this is the closest thing we're gonna get to Time Fades Away 2. So this shows as like a companion piece this later on. So the cool thing about this, though, the cooler thing about it is, so this cover, you see, it's a live set, it's a live show, and there's one single rose that's on this. And do you recognize this shot at all? Does it remind you of anything at all?
I don't know, maybe like Woodstock or something. I don't know.
Okay, so this is referenced in the movie Almost Famous when they have their
Oh,
first show that you see in the movie. And you can, I don't have a picture of it, like the exactly whatever,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
can
yeah.
see this here. She has the rose or has the flowers right there in front of Jeff.
Oh, okay. I didn't
And
know
so
that. Okay.
yeah, the single little bit there. So it's referenced in that. And so yeah, so next time you watch the movie and you see that in there, I think it's just dried out a little bit and just popped. No, we're
The
good.
book?
Yeah, fuck. I've only opened this thing like 5 times, and I feel like I might have
Yeah,
just.
if it's glued in there,
Yeah,
that glue sucks.
yeah, it sucks. But yeah, so next time you watch that, watch the Jeff BB Band or Stillwater, and you see
Stillwater.
that. Yeah, it's the reference there to
Wow.
Time Fades Away from Cam and Crow. Yeah, so
Did not know that.
just little bits for you. So Neil Young, super obviously important for the 70s, and 73 was a big deal for Time Fades Away. And so if you're a fan, go check it out. I re-listened to that record today. It's a cool record. I like it. It's just still not cracking my top 5, I guess, if you want to say that. So
Gotcha.
there's that. Yeah.
All right. What's your first choice then? That was your honorable.
All right. I'll just do it because we're doing it. I'm just gonna do it. So obviously I picked it because like it's hard to not pick it, but I understand why you wouldn't pick it. I get it. You got Dark Side. So Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, obviously a trillion billion sold.
Yeah.
It's the best thing ever, and this and that, greatest record of all time, all these things, whatever. And funny enough here. So ironically, Ty and I last night after the Guns show,
Oh yeah.
we were sitting in the parking lot, and obviously getting out of anywhere after concerts or sporting events or whatever, you're just hanging out. And so we're hanging out there for a good while. And so we start talking, and I asked him, I was like, "Do you hear the Roger Waters re-recording the Dark Side?" And he said that you heard something about that, but you haven't listened to it. And I know how Ty feels about like talking like during in between songs, like narration and stuff and whatever. You're not a fan of this. And so I was like, this is the last thing you're gonna
It
like.
just depends. It depends how it's done.
Yeah.
I like it
But
within concept records. Like it's fine. Like Operation
yes.
Mindcrime has talking in it, but it's not every song.
Yeah.
And yeah,
there's points to it. There's a point to this happening. Like it carries the remainder of the story to the next song or scene or whatever, right?
Also, he's redoing the songs, but he's just not even singing. He's just talking. He's like saying the lyrics.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's awful. It's not good. So I recently listened to that record, and I listened to the whole thing. Did not listen to the whole thing. So admittingly, I'm listening to like Speak to Me, Time, whatever. I just kind of skipped around a little bit here and there, but not my flavor whatsoever. I don't understand why you're doing that. I don't know. Like it's weird, but there you go. Roger Waters can do whatever he wants to do. But anyway, maybe it's a new thing we can talk about with Dark Side, a new little bit. But Dark Side of the Moon, obviously a big deal. It's one of the greatest best-selling albums of all time. It's probably it has to be their most popular record, right? Like it has to be. Like it's crazy to think about because every Floyd record from the time is huge, but like Dark Side is the record. It's not your favorite Floyd record, I know that. It's probably my most repeated record, honestly, because this is what I had in high school.
Oh, okay.
So like, it's the only one I had. It's the only CD that I had. So I had it on my iTunes, my iPod. So like it's the only one I just want to listen to way more than anything else. But you're a Wall guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer the Wall over Dark Side. I don't know. I just like the concept, story.
Yeah, I know you're
everything involved, the movie, the artwork, like the whole vibe to it. I mean, Dark Side's great, but again, you're kind of getting to the point where like I've heard that song so many times.
They're just staples. Yeah. So this is also an early. I don't know. I don't think I've ever done this. I might have, but it's a Harvest label or early U.S. pressing. I also have a German pressing too. On this,
it's a Harvest U.S. pressing.
Yeah. Well, on the bottom there it says, it says USA on there. EMI USA.
Interesting.
Yeah, manufactured by Capitol Records, Inc. subsidiary of Capitol Records, EMI USA. Yeah, I believe so. Recorded in England, whatever. But yeah, so I have a few of these, and I think I have this one. I have a German pressing from Pops, and whatever. But I found this a good many.
That one has the poster in there, all the gimmicks in there and shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pops does too. He does everything there. but I think you and I found this together possibly like literally like 15 years ago. Like we were
Wow.
like just starting out. Like I was just starting to collect. So yeah, I found this. It's a really nice copy of it too. Very nice, very clean. And I think I paid $10 for it or something, maybe less than that. And
Bravo.
now this is a $30 bill or 40, 50, I don't know,
More
whatever it
than
is.
that,
So
yeah.
yeah, so there you go. So Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be on there. I didn't pick it just because I wanted to. I wanted to use this to take the opportunity to talk about some stuff maybe we would never talk about.
Oh,
So,
okay.
My first choice, and I'm not ordering these by any means. My first choice is a band that I've always like known songs, respected, but I've never really gotten into. And then I've been doing research for this for like 6 months just because I knew
Ooh,
eventually we were gonna do it. So
yeah.
I was like, I'll just start listening to shit that I haven't heard or whatever, or haven't listened to all the way through. So my first choice is gonna be Allman Brothers Band, Allman Brothers Band, Brothers and Sisters.
Oh yeah.
I really like this. I know it's not Eat a Peach. Eat a Peach was before this, but I think it's a great record, man. I mean, obviously Ramblin' Man. Everybody knows
Yeah.
Ramblin' Man. It's a great song. Still holds up. Everybody knows Jessica. But I mean, just top to bottom, it's awesome.
Yeah.
They're just so talented. I mean, obviously Dwayne's dead. What, 2 years past this, and
Yeah.
Greg's taking over the band. And I know he was doing a solo album at the same time, so a lot of like production and stuff, like it was kind of all interchanged. But it's a great record, dude. And like, I don't get tired of Ramblin' Man. It's an
Yeah.
awesome song. It's stellar. That's a stellar song. And yeah, as far as like deep cuts, Southbound's really cool. Come and Go Blues. I mean, the whole record is 7 tracks. That's
Yeah.
why I love it too. Like, it's such a quick, good listen. You want to listen to it again after you've already listened to it. So,
Yeah.
Allman Brothers Band, Brothers and Sisters. I probably will never talk about Allman Brothers Band ever again on the channel. Maybe in like a pickups video, but
Yeah.
probably not in a topic they might not ever get brought up. So, want to bring up, this is their commercial peak. This is the biggest they ever were. 7 million copies sold
That's
worldwide.
crazy.
Yeah, and Ramblin' Man was their only song to ever, basically their only hit single. It peaked at number 2. So,
Wow.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah, Allman Brothers. I mean, I tried to get an Allman Brothers way more. Like randomly, like I want to say, like I mean, a month or two ago, I woke up at like 7 a.m. and I was laying in bed, and I was a sad boy that morning. I don't know why. I was just a sad boy as normally am. And I was laying in bed, and I turned on my TV. I was going through my YouTube and laying in bed, and for some reason, Allman Brothers live in like 77 pops up, and I'm like, okay, let's click on this real quick. And I watch a live set from like 76, 77. And it's just really cool. And I wish I listened to more Allman Brothers. What's funny is Paz is a huge fan. I actually have damn near the entirety of the Allman Brothers. Actually, in my collection, I have a couple copies of Eat a Peach. I have Brother Sisters. I got Dwayne solo stuff. I have a oh, excuse me. I have a Dwayne anthology set, and I have Greg solo stuff. I got a lot of Allman Brothers that I can listen to at some point. And so I watched that live set while subsequently reading a Dickie Betts interview, and basically going through his various happenings with the Allman Brothers and what everything they're doing now, and as subsequent since Greg's obviously passed away or whatever, and the things that led to him leaving the band and whatever. Real interesting. Dickie Betts a very interesting character. He I think he lives down in Florida now, and he kind of just lives on his little estate out down there, and I think he's sued a few times for some money, and plays at bars down there randomly, just kind of hanging out, and just kind of lives his life. And yeah, his estate's so big he has to take his car down to get the mail. But Dickie Betts wrote a lot of stuff. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but he wrote a lot of stuff. A lot of those songs are Dickie Betts songs. And
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this album. Yeah, half of the album, 4 or more than half, 4 of the tracks are are solo
Yeah.
credits to him, including Ramblin' Man and Jessica, the 2 biggest songs. So
what
I mean,
what he hates,
they're all so talented.
for sure.
That record too, the production on that, I listened to it twice today through. It's like the
Yeah.
production on it, it's
So
crystal
clean.
clear. Yeah.
So clean. What Dickie's bitch is that he hates the fact that he can't circa he's an old man now, he's not doing anything now, but like he hated the fact that he's still alive, right? I'm not, and this is not an old interview. I think he's still alive, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So he hates the fact that he can't tour, could not tour after he left the Allman Brothers as Dickie Betts, because like he could obviously, but like he couldn't use the Allman Brothers and people didn't know him from the Allman Brothers. So it was like a weird thing where like I wrote and played on all of these songs. Everything you're going to hear tonight is from my fingers, and no one gives a shit, like for the most part, because it's not the Allman Brothers, it's not Greg,
not his last name. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like a weird thing. He has a weird dichotomy there. Like he's the famous guy that wrote all these songs or had a good hand in most of them, and he's not getting recognition solo.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote and he sings on Ramblin' Man. That's their biggest song.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like these are my songs, and I don't even get to like really enjoy the fruits of them necessarily on my own. So yeah. Anyway, there you go. Love it. Yeah, we probably never get to talk Allman Brothers again. Maybe we'll both try to get deeper into Allman Brothers and become weirdos like that, because Allman Brothers also are another one of those bands that have a crazy, devoted, crazy fan base. But yeah, so love it. Super cool. All right.
Is there like an Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner fans? Did they hate each other? They're both from Florida.
Those are different lanes, though.
It's very similar, kind of Southern Rocky.
I thought they're from Georgia. They're from Florida.
Yeah, Leonard Skinner's from Jacksonville. I think they're from the same.
No, I'm talking about. I thought Allman Brothers were from Georgia. Yeah,
no, they're from Jacksonville. I mean, their band was formed in Jacksonville. Okay, they might be. Hold on, let me double check. Make sure I'm not talking about my ass, but okay, pretty sure I read that. Yeah, origin Jacksonville, Florida. So I don't know. Maybe the brothers were born in.
Where was Dwayne? And
Greg was born in Nashville, Tennessee. So he died in Georgia.
Okay,
but the band was formed in Jacksonville, which is where Skinner was formed. So
yeah,
I wonder if there's like a feud there.
Maybe. I still feel like, I mean, again, neither one of us are massive on either one of these bands, but I do feel as though they're different lanes.
I don't know, man. I just get the southern blues rock vibe. Yeah, I mean, I think Allman Brothers is a little bit more technical. Like it's almost like prog nerds can get into Allman Brothers.
No, 100%. I was literally gonna say the exact same thing. Absolutely, yes.
But I think there is a similar vibe. Like I was listening to Skinner too, because Pronounce came out in '73 too.
Did indeed. I saw that on there
that today, and yeah, I just get some. I don't know. It'd be funny because obviously like Maiden and Priest, like you gotta like one or the other, but it'd be funny if there's like you can't like Skinner if you like the Allman Brothers or whatever.
All right, so just real quick, doing this, not to go too deep.
Dwayne and Greg grew up in Daytona Beach, so they were maybe born in Tennessee, but they grew up there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So not circa, but per the Hoffman Forum in 2018. The relationships between the Allman Brothers and Leonard Skinner. They are obviously the titans of Southern rock, but I seem to recall reading in the past there was tension between the two bands at the time in their 70s heyday. Allman Brothers started earlier, of course, and were a few years older than the Skinner members. There were also subtle differences in their sound, with the Allman Brothers showing more jazz and blues influences, while Skinner hewed more towards the rock and country. I recall reading somewhere that the members of the Allman Brothers band treated Skinner with at least some contention. Yeah, but it's not spelled. I was like, it's contention, but he wrote condensation on here. Contention, all along the lines of that the Almonds were clearly the better band. Personally, I like both. With anyone
condemnation?
No, so CONDESCENSION.
I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe we're dumb. Maybe that's a bigger word that we're aware of. So yeah, I don't know. I'm reading on here. All right, so the WTF episode with Derek Trucks, he speaks about this a bit. To boil it down, the Skinner boys were absolutely wild and street, whereas the Allman Brothers viewed themselves as more refined and jazz dudes.
I guess,
So
even though they were way into drugs too.
they were indeed,
Drinking.
yeah, forever, for literally forever. So yeah. Interesting, but there you go, man. Stoked. Look at you pulling out Allman Brothers over here. Proud of you. All right, so hold on. So a big record that came out in 73 from one of my favorite dudes in the world. Obviously, one of his his most famous. It's most famous look. We talked a little bit here. One, Mr. David Bowie with Aladdin Sane. This is not my favorite Bowie record. It's obviously a major record, a major turning point in his career. The last gasp of the Ziggy character, obviously, like you mentioned before, killed him off in the year of 73. Also, the 4K final live set just got released, or is getting released, I believe. And there's videos online of certain songs. So if you're into Bowie, check those out. It's super cool. They are doing, or they did do, I'm out of it right now, but I feel like they're going to do a theater release for that as well. And if it hasn't happened yet, I want to go see it. So maybe I'll do a quick Google search after I'll get off the air here. But so Bowie, Aladdin Sane, big songs off of here. Aladdin Sane, obviously a big song. Cracked Actor, massive song. Gene Genie, that's the biggest hit song on here. Super cool. I'm a big fan of Bowie during this era, but I'm a bigger fan for the next version of him going into the Berlin years. But Bowie's just cutting edge, always a step above everybody else. He had everything going on. He knew how to present himself. He made himself so weird and alien-like. And that's what Ziggy was, that he was infinitely interesting to everybody, and no one had really seen anybody like him before. So it's interesting, the fact that, like, because I don't know how old he was in 73, but he couldn't have been 26, maybe 25. And it's just very, very crazy to me that the successful character, you didn't just lean in more. Like, you had so much confidence in yourself that you knew that the next thing you were going to do was going to, still take you to where you wanted to be. Because I think everybody else would have kept this going, right? Like, it's kind of impossible to not, because it was so successful and it was so iconic, even in that time. While weird, very iconic. So just absolutely crazy. And this obviously is the most famous look that he had. Like,
he did
anything else.
Who's probably the contemporary of the time that was kind of doing similar thing? I guess Alice. Obviously different style, different music, but I'm saying like character-ish, and like Arthur Brown, I guess. I don't know much about that, but not many.
No, exactly. It's very,
Kiss just started, so they weren't even relevant yet.
Yeah. And I misspoke. The next version was Diamond Dogs, and then into Young Americans. So he was still about to enter into the jazzy bits, and then he went into the Berlin era. But it's. I mean, when you're among the first group of people to do something, like to be truly a weirdo and on the cutting edge of anything, is just insane. Because at this point we've seen everything, right? We've seen everything many times over, just repackaged, different color, whatever. But like, no one did this. No one did it before, and he scared people, and he was just willing to take these risks and to take on new challenges, and whatever. So just absolutely crazy. And then Diamond Dogs, also another big record.
Also another weird ass cover too.
Yeah, all the covers are very weird. Yeah, the dog cover with his balls out, doing real good stuff there, which I think we've showcased before on the channel at some point. For some reason, I forget. But yeah, so anyway, Aladdin Sane, Bowie, Cracked Actor, Gene Genie, would recommend listening to if you haven't already. But if you're a Bowie fan, you've already been there. But yeah, this is actually a Steve gimmick, I believe.
Oh, from Thrifty Joe's.
Yeah, I believe so. This is a little worse for wear now that I'm looking at it right now. So it has some stainage on here. So if I do run into another copy of this at some point, I might be interested in
Upgrade.
that. Speaking of Dynaflex,
Yeah,
there you
that
go.
thing's floppy as hell, dude.
Yeah, so there you go. So, but a lot of Bowie records had the Dynaflex with RCA. So I think RCA might have been one of the early adopters of the Dynaflex, gimmicks there.
Gotcha.
So there you go.
All right, let's keep it in jolly old England, I guess. Also, Allman Brothers, great American band too. Gotta mention
They were. Yeah.
Let's keep it in England now. This was my number one album of '73. It was the first one I had to put on there. It's probably one of my favorite early period albums by this band. And going from one creative genius who changed it up to another creative genius who just decided to completely change it up and leave the band that he started. That's Genesis. This isn't the album they left. Lamb Lies Down Broadway is the last album with Peter, but Genesis, Selling England by the Pound. This record is so fucking good, man. The production on it is so clean. These guys were just so talented and still are. This is kind of, to me, this is like the peak of their genius. That might be controversial, but like this record is so good. Dancing with the Moonlit Night, that's such a good song. I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe. A lot of this shit too, they were playing for years, when it was just the three of them. They would still pull out all these songs. This whole record, man. Firth the Fifth is a great song. The Battle of Epping Forest. The Cinema Show is a really cool song. Just a lot of cool soundscapes and creativity here. This is if you're into guitar, this is a great Steve Hackett record. For my money, out of these early records, it's the record that showcases his playing the most. Like, it gets heavy, riffy, like almost like early-ish metal-ish to an extent. Like, he's so good. Like, it's heavy guitar. Like, he's so good. Yeah, just a great record. And then this is their fifth album. And Peter was, I think it's like 2 or 3 more records or something like that, and then he was gone. But so yeah, Selling England by the Pound. If you want to get something that isn't like daunting, like you feel like this is going to be overwhelming, this is a good, other than like the 80s pop stuff, which is like made to be easily digestible. This is a good starting point. Sure.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. So how many records did Peter get then?
I could look it up here. I think
7, 8.
Yeah, something like that.
Like, he wasn't in there like obviously an eternity or anything like that, but he still cranked out a bunch of records. I feel like, no.
I mean, a lot of bands did that, man. A lot of bands did that in the 70s.
Yeah, just
he got him in and got him out. Yeah, he was in the band 67 and 75. That's 73. So 2 years later, he was gone. And then, because the first solo album came out in 76.
Okay.
Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. That's 74. So that's his last record. So it's 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Lamb Lies Down on Broadway was such a big, elaborate show. Like, he just burnt himself out.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So that's basically why I left.
Is that when he looks like a clown and stuff? Or is that solo?
Well, he did all kinds of costumes. So pick out like a different, yeah.
I just remember the makeup and him doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I didn't know if that was the same. I didn't know if that was the.
Well, he kind of always did that in Genesis. When he went solo, that kind of stuff, that part of the live show kind of went away.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
So
F&A, man. I knew you were gonna put it on there. I knew because I saw it on. I was like, he's obviously gonna do the Genesis.
It's so good, dude.
Yeah. Also, that's the one you got. At Barnes and Noble, right?
Yeah, this is actually a really good. It's cut by Kevin Gray, and this came out earlier this year from Rhino. It's the 2023 Start Your Ear Off Right releases, and it's a clear vinyl. Sounds great, really good pressing of it. I still see clean pressings of this. I would like to pick up an older pressing, but for now, this will do me. So
yeah, that's awesome. F&A, man. All right. Well, I'm staying in England, so
all right.
I'm going to maintain my English flair here, and I'll finish up with American, but I'll stay in England here. So another one of the biggest bands of all time, and one of their biggest records of all time. One Led Zeppelin, Little Houses of the Holy.
You've just had an English record so far.
I know, yeah. I'm staying in England, yeah. Americans suck. Yeah, so I have 2 older pressings. I got a German pressing, then I have an American pressing here. And off the top of my head here, there might be a Ludwig press of this somewhere. This might be one of them. I know Zeppelin 2 has one. I don't know if it went to 3. I think it went to 3 too. I don't know if it went to House of the Holy, but those are like the hot presses, whatever. But anyway, so House of the Holy, this might be like, I'm looking this over here. It might be like maybe my favorite Zeppelin record. Like, I love it. It's a great record. Like, the crunch is the only like song that anybody ever talks about being like the down point. It's right in the middle of the record. But like, Song Remains the Same, Rain Song, Over the Hills and Far Away, Crunch, Dancing Days, Dear Maker, No Quarter in the Ocean. No Quarter is one of my favorite Zeppelin songs ever. So it's hard to it's hard to not pick this over so many of the other records. It's just so good. And it's crazy to think about that they did so much in just 4 years. This is the 4th year of their existence. And they're still just cranking out, album after album after album. It's absolute insanity. I just, and then also House of the Holy is not even on here. It's on Physical Graffiti. So like they didn't include the title track on here, which is good stuff. But yeah, like, obviously it's hard to, say anything more about it, but for my money, if you're, trying to get into Zeppelin, I think this is as good as any. Obviously Zeppelin 1, Zeppelin 2, and Zeppelin 3 all have their massive highlights and whatever. Zeppelin 4, obviously Zeppelin 4, but House of the Holy, it's very difficult to pick, but it might be contender for me.
Yeah, it'd be a fun ranking to do. It'd be pretty easy. There's not a ton of them.
Yeah, there's only 10 records really.
Yeah.
So in 10 years of existence, 11 years. So
yeah, I had a mix going on, a 73 mix, and some of those songs were popping up, and I'm like, yeah, there's some of the, like, Over the Hills and Far Away is so good. That's such a good song. One of my
so good
songs. Dancing Days. I love Dancing Days.
Of course. Yeah. Actually, Jimmy Page put out maybe like a month ago or so. He put out an instrumental version of the Rain Song that he I think is the original demo version of it, but like, it's not a demo version. It's a completely like worked beautiful, clean arrangement that if y'all have not checked that out yet, go on YouTube and look up his YouTube channel, because it's absolutely crazy and outstanding. Love that. But yeah,
we'd have to do the ranking, but I think my number one would probably be Into the Outdoor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've said that to you before.
Have you really?
Also, yeah. Also, you did 2 records in a row with Hypnosis artwork. So there you go.
Nice. That's very true. Good call. Nice.
Very popular.
Strom Thurmond or whatever.
Very popular in that 70s era for sure.
Yeah. I think he did he's done every Floyd cover ever. Oh, maybe not like the early, but these, yeah.
All right, I'll keep it in England.
Okay.
What the hell? We'll talk about a band that had a ton of early output too. And then kind of similar trajectory to Zeppelin, just did a ton of records in a short amount of span, and then the original incarnation broke up. So let's talk about Black Sabbath with Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Also another great cover. This cover's so cool.
Very cool.
I never realized until like maybe a couple years ago that it's a bed and the guy's like getting, got the devils coming after him and shit.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
it's got the 666 on there in the bed and stuff. It's such a great album cover, album title. One of their best album covers for sure. And when we do the ranking, we'll talk about them. But like, this is definitely up there because some of those early ones aren't good, but this one is definitely one of the better ones. Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite early Sabbath record by far. I think by the time you get to this, they started getting really proggy, and we're gonna do the ranking hopefully next week. So I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but they started getting very proggy towards the end of the Ozzy stuff, and I feel like some of the heaviness went away, and that kind of hurt the records. Like I feel like the peak of early Sabbath is Master Reality in like Volume 4. I think that's like your perfect mix of stuff. And then I love Sabbath Play Sabbath still. It's still a great record. I mean, the title track is classic. It's classic Iommi. That title track riff is amazing. So yeah, there is some great tracks. Sabracadabra is awesome. Killing Yourself to Live is probably my favorite track off here.
That's
That's a great song. But even like Fluff, which is like a throwaway little instrumental, like Tony was so good at doing stuff like that, where it wasn't just like, oh, we just got to do this for nothing. It was good. Like he's such a good, talented guitar player and songwriter. And the funny part about this is like at the beginning of the recording session for this, he was done. Like he had no creative output. And they started doing this in LA, and he just couldn't write. Like at the end, by the end of the Volume 4 tour, he was just burnt out. And because he was writing all the music, Geezer was doing the lyrics, but Tony was doing all the music himself. And he was burnt out. So they went to England, and the first thing he wrote was Sabbath Play Sabbath. That was the first thing that finally came out after the writer's block. So still a great record, man. 73. This is their 5th album in 3 years. So still at a creative high. They haven't quite dipped so far, but for my money, at the proggier they get, the less heavy they get, especially early, the less interested I'm in. Even though I like prog, so it's weird. I just don't want them to do it all the time. But Rick Wakeman's on this record too. Plays great keys.
Nice.
So
I feel like we talked about that already. I feel like I knew that. Yeah. Because didn't they want him to join the band?
All right, no, I think he wanted to join, and they were like, "You're too good. You're good."
Oh, yes, that story.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. Also, side note, real quick here, you mentioned the album covers here in the artwork. You just don't like Paranoid, right?
Paranoid Master Reality is stupid. Like
I like Master Reality. The colors I like the colors.
Volume 4 is all right. Even though they didn't want to call it Volume 4, they wanted to call it I can't remember. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Never Say Die kind of sucks. Sabotage kind of sucks. Like Sabotage, they were told they were doing a test shoot, because I read this in this. Have you read this?
Yeah, keep going.
They were told they were doing a test shoot, so they just showed up like wearing whatever they were wearing, and then they're like, that's what ended up on the damn album cover. So they're wearing all this weird shit.
Yeah, Ozzy's wearing his wife's clothes.
Like, isn't Bill in like a tiny shirt too? Like,
everybody's Bill's in is just his genitalia is pretty protruding. And Ozzy's in a kimono and women's shoes. Like, it's a whole thing. They're being sabotaged. In multiple ways.
And by the record label too. So.
Yeah. Also, like, no, I don't know. Like, I think Paranoid's dumb. I thought that before, like when I was a child, like a small child, that I just do Black Sabbath. I was like, that's dumb. I don't like that. It's just dumb looking.
I mean, it was supposed to be called War Pigs, and it kind of makes more sense when the album was supposed to be called War Pigs, but then it's still not a good album cover. So
but I always like Master Reality though, because I just like the color scheme. I thought it was so cool, and just the purple just pops so well, especially like certain pressings of it.
I mean, that is the iconic Sabbath logo. They've had so many different logos. Like, that's the one you see all the time, like those bubble letters.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I don't know. It's such a good record. It's kind of a letdown album cover. But.
Yeah. they get. I mean, the covers get way more interesting later on. Obviously,
Mhm.
the Dio covers are probably the
Yeah,
best covers, like produced covers they ever did.
Heaven and Hell's the best cover they ever had.
Yeah, because it's a really beautiful cover. Then
Mhm.
Dehumanizer is also pretty cool. It's different, but it's also very cool.
Mhm.
So the Dio
Yeah.
stuff is just it's interesting. And then also the Heaven and Hell record too has a cool cover. So like
Mhm.
that's another thing. So like that was obviously an important
Yeah.
thing for them. But yeah, anyway, I knew you were gonna choose it, so obviously you had to. Yeah, next week, Sabbath rankings. Next week, penciled in,
Gonna
pen,
record it.
marker. Gonna record it, and it'll be the definitive list. You can throw away all others.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. All right, so
You got one
I
more,
got
right? Or
I
two
got
more?
I got two more. I got two more. Like whatever. I'm gonna do them together. Like because I had to do it. I had to do it. So I'm just gonna
Okay.
do it. Whatever. Don't care. But I'm not gonna not. So anyway,
Wow. There's
what
big ones you're missing.
am I really?
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
All
We'll
right.
talk about it at the end.
All right. That's fine. So my favorite man of all time, well, Mr. Bruce Springsteen, had two records come out in this year. His first and second record came out in '73. First record is a record called Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey. This is the first recordings that he ever did. This is a sealed little, I think 82 is when the bar came in, I believe it was. So like it was like 10 years old, maybe possibly, but it's a sealed copy of this. So very stoked to have this. But this is just absolutely, it's a ridiculous, really good album. It's so fast. It's a lot of acoustics in here because he's just by himself for much of it, and it's funny because they for the band record, which is the band we're getting into next, they wanted to give him a band, and he was like, well, I already have a band, and they're like, well, we're going to give you a super group or whatever. He's like, well, I don't want that, I want my band, and so he managed to get him on later. But for this, it's so good. Like every song, Blinded by the Night, or Blinded by the Light, Growing Up, Mary Queen of Arkansas. My father's favorite Bruce song, very interestingly enough. I just very vividly remember him saying that, which is weird to me, but whatever. 82nd Street, Lost in the Flood, super cool. Lost in the Flood, live at the Hammersmith Odeon in '75, that DVD. It's so cool to see him do Lost in the Flood. I love that. The lyrics to that song are so awesome. The Angel, it starts getting a little different here. The Angel, I don't care about The Angel. For You, big song. Spirit of the Night's good, a big song. And then Hard Being a State in the City. Again, just massive songs, for Bruce fans, top to bottom. It's not my favorite record, but it's a heavy hitter. It's among them. But Green's Asbury Park, debut record. And then he convinced the label, because that did nothing. So they were like, all right, well, we need more shit. And he was like, all right, well, I want to do a band record and I want to bring my boys in. And they're like, all right, but it's got to do something. Okay. And he's like, and it will. So they did the Wild Innocent and E Street Shuffle, E Street Band, first band record on there. Has the guys in the back there. You got Clarence, you got Bruce, you got, forget his name, got Vinnie Mad Dog, you got Danny, and you got Gary Talent there. So this record, also a big deal for Bruce fans. You got E Street Shuffle, big song, massive song. 4th of July, you got Kitty's Back. Wild Billy's Circus Story, just name whatever, I don't care. Incident on 57th Street, Rosalita. That's the big song. Like that's my mother's second favorite song. At least I think it's my mom's favorite song is Rosalita. That's the big, song for the early Springsteen stuff, which is not my favorite. Not my favorite Springsteen stuff. It's not these records. I like the next few records more. But and New York City Serenade. So again, you're just hitting them out of the park. If you have one clunker, I guess, on an entire record, it's incredible. And that's just to me. I'm sure there's a lot of Bruce fans that love this and love everything about this. But yeah, so anyway, absolutely massive. And then this did nothing as well. So then he had to go to the well one more time and record up there. He had to record Born to Run. And that's when he actually did something and didn't get dropped. It was his last gasp, his last possible effort to make his career work. And, funny enough, it did. So Bruce Springsteen, greetings, and E Street Shuffle, just absolutely massive. So there you go. Anyway.
It's Born to Run 74.
35.
Oh, 75. Okay.
Yeah, so two-year hang out there while they're recording it, and 6 months to record the song "Born to Run." So yeah, it took a little while.
Got
Bruce,
right.
young Bruce is an absolute madman. So there you go. All right, so I'm done. So you go, my sir.
All right, so I'll do my last two then.
Okay.
This one I want to talk about. Band we never talked about before. I mean, kind of in passing.
Okay.
But we never talked about in full or this record. And that's 73, the debut album, Montrose.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
This is a fun record, man.
It
sounds kind of like nothing else at the time. Because it's like almost too fast and happy and heavy. Mm-hmm. But it's like what's this, 4 years before Van Halen? 70s.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. The band Van Halen. Yes, I thought you meant Sammy coming in, but yes. Yeah.
No. So my point is, like, it's kind of like Van Halen-esque, like the debut Van Halen album. I'm not saying it's as good. I'm just saying that similar vibe to it, and because it doesn't really sound like Zeppelin. Like it's too fast.
It's a party record,
and it's less
like it's crazy.
Yeah. Sammy sounds great on it. I was listening to it today. It's interesting how Sammy Hagar just sounded the same throughout his entire career, basically.
Yeah.
Rock Candy is my favorite song. That song's fucking sick.
That's the song.
Yeah. Song is sick. Bad Motor Scooter is, you could tell where Motley Crue stole the intro for Kickstart My Heart. Like, it's almost exactly the same. I mean, Ronnie's a great guitar player. You got the homoerotic cover and back.
Hell yeah.
So that's cool.
I like it.
It just says Sam Hagar. He got the Sammy later in life when he got older.
which is different, which is the exact opposite. Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it has that. It's got that Van Halen production because it's Ted Templeman too. So like it sounds the same. It's really, really interesting vibes to it. Yeah. Definitely not my favorite record I've mentioned tonight. It's probably the weakest, but I wanted to talk about because I'm probably never gonna, out of the records we probably mentioned tonight. But I wanted to bring it up just because we're probably never gonna talk about this again in passing, other than talking about Van Halen. And it's interesting too. Like, this is their biggest record. And, it was their first one, and this didn't really do well at all.
Yeah, I did a run through of Sammy stuff like 2 months ago maybe, and I did a run through because I was gonna do, when I was talking to you about doing the verses, the first with Roth versus Hagar, because it's very different because Sammy's first solo record is 10 years prior to Dave's, but when we talk about doing the contemporary solo records versus each other. But anyway, the Montrose record, that's a super cool record. What's funny is I've listened to a bunch of Sammy interviews, and he talks about that Rock Candy is probably the song that gets mentioned to him the most. And he mentions, he was like, what's funny is, like, the first time I met Lemmy, we were at like a club or at a show or whatever, a club or something or other, and he was Lemmy, and he comes walk up to Sammy, and they're not like BFFs or anything like that. He's like, Lemmy's Lemmy. So he's walking up, he's like, "Hey, Rock Candy, that's the song." And then Lemmy's, I can't sound, that's not Lemmy's accent, whatever. But he's like, "Rock Candy, that's the song," whatever. And he said that's the song. It's always the song. Anybody wants to play with Sammy, the first thing they do, if they're doing a jam or whatever the hell, for whatever it is, the first thing that anybody ever says is Rock Candy, no matter who they are. Whether it's Brad Paisley or Lemmy, it's Rock Candy every time. And he's like, I don't know why. It's the song. And so he likes it a lot. It's a sick song. It's so absolutely so cool. There's a cool flow and the groove to it and stuff. It's a really cool deal. I like that. The Sammy solo stuff, like, it's sneaky good. The first 3 solo records too, Standing Hampton, 3 Lock Box, and what else is on there? Forget, maybe just Sammy Hagar. But those records, like, and I listened to Montrose record, all in straight shot. Those are real cool. So I would recommend maybe one time we can do an early, I don't know how we do it, maybe a decades review or something or other, because he put out a bunch of shit back then. because it always just really is interesting to me, because like the narrative of Sammy's solo career before Van Halen is that he was super successful and he was selling out and doing almost the same business that Van Halen was doing because they had a terrible management team. So like
Sure.
when he entered the band, he was like, I'm making this much solo. What are you guys making? Well, we're making that much as a band. And he's like, what are you talking about? You're Van Halen. It's incredible. Like whatever, because they had bad management. And they brought in Ted Templeman, obviously to produce their records, and that was the whole thing. And as we talked about a while ago, I don't think we talked about on the show though, but they talked about Ted Templeman wanted to fire Roth very early on in the first record and bring in Sammy back in '77. So in an alternate universe somewhere, far away, that happened, and then we have, however many years they can hold
totally
that together.
different narrative. Yeah.
Very different, very, very different, and also just a different vibe altogether, which is it was just totally interesting. So yeah, so I respect that. Hell yeah, that Monsters record. I'm really stoked on that. Hell yeah.
Yeah, interesting too. I'm reading this. Make It Last. Van Halen did that a lot in their early club days.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
They covered that song. And then Maiden did Space Station #5 in 92. It was a B-side
song.
So that was cool. So yeah. Definitely highly influential. I've a lot of acts and bands have talked about that record too. And it eventually started selling. Like it had went platinum by 86, but like you're 13 years deep. Like, it did not sell well initially at all.
Yeah, I think that's one of those records that like is very influential, and I think if you know it, you love it, kind of things, right? So I think it's like one of those things that like maybe it's like it's a culty record. So like because Ronnie Montrose, I think is a whole culty kind of vibe too, like with all his other bands, Gamma, it's another one of the bands. All his stuff, So maybe in some point we'll go deeper on it, but yeah, super stoked on that.
All right, my last one, last but certainly not least, one of their biggest records, third studio album. They blew up on this record. It's a solid, more than solid. It's an awesome fucking record. ZZ Top, Tres Hombres.
Yep.
This record's it's so good, man. It's so fun. Obviously, you got LaGrange on here. But Waiting for the Bus is a really cool song. Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, the band we saw open for
Darkness.
The Darkness, covered that Saturday night. Moving on down the line, they're such an interesting band because they combine. They're very American. Like when we did American bands, I like totally spaced ZZ Top for whatever reason. Even though I was trying to pick other ones, like not name brand shit.
Yeah,
but they're uniquely American because they combine that American blues with like Southern rock and like country and like early hard rock all into one thing. Those are all uniquely American things.
Yeah.
And such talented dudes. Billy Gibbons, Dusty Hill, Frank Beard, man.
I mean, they managed to sell 50 million records. Also, it's funny that you're saying not doing name brand guys to a band that's 50 million deep in sales, right? That's funny.
No, but I'm saying I didn't want it when we did American bands, that topic. Like I wanted to try to keep it to lesser known acts or like lesser known, but like stuff. I just kind of spaced ZZ Top, and I probably should have put them in there even on. I don't know. They don't really. You get those lists, they don't really get talked about though. You don't hear them in the same breath as Aerosmith, and it's weird, like because they had such a great career, and like they were so big. Like I've watched that the Sam Dunn documentary, and they talk about like this tour, and they were playing like the fucking Astrodome and shit. And they had the big rigs and shit, and it was their circus. And that's Fandango, that live album, and they were so big, and then they had the downturn, and then they just got giant again. Like there's very few bands that have like massive peaks. 2 of them.
Yeah. Do you think the goofy videos for Eliminator and everything in the 80s? Do you think that kind of like almost darkness them, like made them like almost a gimmick?
Well, I think it definitely made them more of a gimmick band at the time, but I think the songs are still pretty good. I know they lost a lot of fans, but for every fan that they lost, they probably gained 10.
For sure.
When Eliminator's like 20 million or something sold or whatever it is now. So like for every band they pissed off, like there was plenty more in the waiting. So
Yeah.
I think financially it worked out for them, you know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I venture to say they made more money off Eliminator than they made off of any other record combined, right? Damn
Yeah,
near.
definitely. But yeah, you're right. Some of the videos do get goofy, but I think they leaned into it. Like they were one of the first
Oh,
MTV bands.
100%. That's the funny thing about that is they weren't sexy dudes or anything like that. It was not a thing. It was just
No.
they had goofy videos that were fun and kids liked. Like that was the deal. Like you know, they weren't Bon Jovi. It was a completely different vibe, and it got over really, really, really well with the younger audience at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that album Trace Omery's peaked at number 8. Like it's such a big album, man. It's crazy.
How many sales they got on that?
Let's see here. It is showing that's not right. So it's showing gold on Wiki. So
Interesting. It's got to be more than that. It's probably whatever. It's got a few million on there. Bishop LaGrange, which we listened to no less than about 100 times playing NASCAR, 2013 or whatever it was. So
it was certified in May 23rd, 1974. It's never been certified again.
Okay, so we got a few million there. At the very
Easily.
Yeah, it's it's not. That's absolutely insanity. I still regret not buying that Sleeping Bad single at Goodwill the other day. $4. $4 though, but it was really nice. It was a nice 7-inch, and most of those are now gone. There's a handful that are still there that are just hanging out, and they're cool if you're into like the Air Supply and Bryan Adams and stuff. But like, that's not my lane necessarily. I know you love Bryan Adams. You're a big Canadian guy. So, but yeah, I just should have bought that. It was really nice. Sleeping Bag, cool video, barefoot.
It's a cool song too. I like that shit. I like that 80s shit too. It's cheesy. It's good summer music, man. Yeah. I grew up on it, so like I have a nostalgia, like
no, for sure
for those songs. But like,
I mean, that's all I associate ZZ Top with, though, is just fun stuff. Like they could totally have some sad, sappy, slow stuff that I don't know about. Totally possible, right? But for the most part, I only know fun Top.
Yeah, I mean, even Trace Hombres that's very a bluesy, hard rock blues record, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's mostly just fun songs. Yeah, man, such a talented man, cool dudes. Also, you listen to some of the shit live from the era; it's so much heavier. Like the guitar, like it's amazing how much sound those three dudes were making on stage.
That's my favorite thing. My favorite bands, like not my favorite bands, but Blink obviously had 3 members. But like it's always infinitely surprising to me and like impressive to me. Not surprising, impressive and surprising, I guess, certain precise. For 3-man bands, how much they're able to get out of that dynamic is incredible. Like, I mean, Rush is probably the biggest example of that, right? Like, truly, because they're all virtuosos and they're all like, that's like, I mean, it's hard to compare anybody to Rush, whatever, right? In a lot of ways, but like, they got the most out of the least. They're just 3 random dudes from Canada that just so happen to be some of the greatest at their chosen profession, just all at the same time. Just the perfect, storm kind of happened there and it all collided. But yeah, the 3-man bands, that's a different vibe for sure. It's very impressive.
3MB, baby. 3MB.
Oh yeah. All right. Oh no, nobody's dead. Okay, I was gonna say RIP somebody, but no one's dead. Everyone is still alive there, luckily.
That would be a good topic. Trios.
Oh yeah.
No, dead wrestlers. Yeah.
Dead wrestlers. That's a long. We don't got enough time in the world for dead wrestlers. You might need to take a couple days off.
Some quick honorables here. Aerosmith debuted 73. Elton John, Don't Shoot Me. We talked about that. Deep Purple, end of the Mark II era. Who Do We Think We Are? Which is a pretty cool.
Thought you were gonna pull it, but I guess you didn't want to talk about it again. So I got you.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Purple again.
Not my favorite. Woman from Tokyo is probably a cool. It is a cool song, but yeah, there's some of that. Like I'm way deeper into the Mark III era, like the Coverdale stuff. Yeah. Right now than I am the early stuff, but Blue Oyster Cult, Tyranny and Mutation, their second record, not my favorite. It's way heavier and faster, kind of punky-ish vibe, even though just kind of as a descriptor. Let's see here. Eagles with Desperado, another big one. Queen with their debut. Grand Funk were an American band with a giant record. Leonard Skinner, Pronounce, obviously another giant one. A really cool record that I did listen to today for this topic is Golden Earring, Moontan. That's their biggest record. That has Radar Love on it. Such an interesting band. They're Dutch, kind of a weird progginess to it. If you know Radar Love, like that's not all that's there. Like they do some weird, interesting shit. Thin Lizzy with Vagabonds, not my favorite era. They get better as they go. Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I was thinking maybe that might slip into your list, but
okay,
but it didn't.
Yeah, I thought about it. I did think about that. I think I don't know. I felt weird about the Elton stuff because I definitely like I like a lot of those songs, obviously, but I have not really probably fleshed out. There's probably 6 songs on the record, though, right?
Yeah, it's like 7
big
or 8
ones. Yeah, like huge songs.
Steve Miller with Joker, another big one. The Who, Quadrophenia. I thought that might crack your list too.
Yeah, I thought about it. I definitely thought about it. I was gonna pull it maybe, but yeah.
ELP, Brain Salad Surgery. I know it's a huge album in prog. I'm not into ELP yet. I haven't got that arc of my life, but yes, Tales from Topographic Ocean. It's a really cool record, but I don't know enough about that specific album to really talk about it. The two that I'm surprised you didn't mention, one of them very specifically, Alice Cooper, $1 Billion Babies.
So when I was doing this, I meant to pull $1 Billion Babies out. I did definitely mean to do that. But then when I looked at my thing, I saw two Bruces there. I was like, oh, that's 5 right there. So I just spaced on it. But I didn't think about it again until right this moment. So yeah, I could have done $1 Billion Babies real quick and Muscle of Love. They had 2 records out that year.
They did Muscle of Love as well.
Muscle of Love is also a cool record. When I was a little kid, I knew Muscle of Love, that song, because I just loved the chorus of that, and I loved the way that Alice like holy muscle of love, like that was cool. Like I loved it, and then I realized my dad told me later on it was a penis, but did not know that at the moment. But there you go. Yeah, I should have pulled that $1 Billion Babies because Under My Wheels is on that record. You got $1 Billion Babies on there. You got what else? You got ooh, hold on. Long Way to Go is on the record, maybe. Let's see. There we go. We got Hello Hooray. That's a great record. Elected as a huge song. $1 Billion Babies. Mr. Nice Guy, obviously huge on there. Yeah. Not Under My Wheels. All right, Under My Wheels is on. Is that on? Hold on. We're doing here. Oh my God, why am I doing this? I'm sorry. Everybody watching this right now is like yelling. They're going, I know where it's from. Wheels. Is that on Killer? Hold on. Yes, it is. It's opening the Killer. I knew that. Yeah, F&A. Another cool record. That was my favorite Cooper record for a long time. It was my father's too. I remember having a conversation with him about it. He was like, "What's your favorite Cooper record?" And I was like, "Killer." He was like, "That's my favorite too." So fun stuff. Side note. So you talk about you're more deeper into the Coverdale Stormbringer era. Mm-hmm. So today, I don't know if you saw this or not, like right now, circa like whatever, a couple hours ago, they posted Coverdale finished up the Purple Album's special gold edition remix, 2023 remixes of the 2015 album of the Purple stuff. So has a bunch of Purple tracks on there.
Yeah, I need to catch up on those remasters he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, they're not expensive yet, really. Or the ones that are out there, they just got repressed recently. So I need to pick up the Rock album, the Love album, and the other ones because they're out there for not a lot. And I think you still don't have the greatest hits as of yet.
I don't have any of them. Yeah, I don't have any of those remastered stuff that he's done. Yeah, I need to get on it. That Purple album would be curious. I never listened to it. I'd be curious to see if he does Glenn songs because there's a lot of songs that they trade vocals and there's a lot of songs where they solo it.
So, all right, let me do this for you. So they got Burn, Lay Down, Stay Down,
which is
Love
a
Child.
Burn is interesting because Burn is a lot of Glenn.
Yeah.
That's
So
long
Lay Down,
there.
Stay Down, Love Child, Holy Man, The Gypsy, Lady Double Dealer, Might Just Take Your Life, Mistreated, Stormbringer, Sail Away, You Keep on Moving, Lady Luck, Coming Home, You Fool No One, Soldier of Fortune, and then he did a bunch of live stuff on here. Somebody's Talking, Get Ready, Lonely Town, Lonely Street, Dance in the Street, and then he also has 74 demos and ideas for Stormbringer on here.
Interesting. That's pretty cool.
Whole hodgepodge of stuff.
Yeah. I'll check it out. We've made it to the end of another episode. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it. Comment down below about 73. Subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. We are going to be doing the Sabbath ranking next week.
We are. It's in pen.
But if you
Sharpie.
But if you want to end this, you can pick a topic. We can do it after the Sabbath ranking if you got something you want to do.
I don't have anything off the top of my head right now because I was just concentrating on the Sabbath one. Okay. So we're just doing Sabbath next week.
All right. That's what we'll be doing next week. We'll see you next time, guys, on the Living Deadwax podcast. Peace.